Get your day started the right way with Good Day Tampa Bay.
Hey, everybody, and welcome to our broadcast viewers who are watching the Women's World Cup. Glad to have you back. And our streaming audience, thanks for sticking with us all morning. I'm Charley Belcher, coming to you from Bradenton, and I am at the Tidewell Hospice Simulation Nursing Lab. Looks like I'm just coming to you from somebody's living room. This is actually a nursing simulation lab, complete with a patient here, and do not call this a dummy. This is a very smart mannequin to help train nurses. His name is Jim. Jim, are you having a good day?
Yes.
Jim can even talk and blink and look around and do so much more to make sure Tidewell Hospice nurses are the best trained. I'll tell you about this training and about Jim when Good Day Tampa Bay continues.
And then Charlie's in Bradenton this morning at a new simulation lab for nurses. We'll check in with him when we come back.
Good day, Tampa Bay. Happy Wednesday. I'm Charley Belcher, coming to you from Bradenton this morning from the Tidewell Hospice Nurse Simulation Lab. It is a training facility for new hospice nurses, and really state-of-the-art and kind of one of a kind, one you're not going to see just anywhere. And Tidewell's pretty proud of that. I want you to meet Anita Smith, the Director of Clinical Education for Empath Health. Empath Health is over Tidewell Hospice and many different hospice service providers throughout Florida. Anita, this is special really because of Jim here.
Yes,
right?
Absolutely.
Before we really talk about Jim, as we look around, we see that, I mean, there's dirty clothes on the ground, the sink over there in the kitchen is a mess, but this is kind of all part of a training scenario you put nurses through.
Yes, absolutely. It's a training scenario because some of these things indicate to us that our patients and their families may need additional services in their home, and hospice can provide those services for them.
I wouldn't have thought about that. I mean, I get, you know, checking an IV bag or making sure they've gone to the bathroom or not, but whether or not there are roaches in the sink, and quite frankly, if you go over there and look close enough, you'll see a little plastic roach. What would you hope a nurse would do with that information?
I would hope that the nurse would consult a social worker, and we can get some additional services in the home to help that patient and their family to help manage some of these situations.
Yeah. That's fascinating. Things you don't think about, but a nurse has to be trained for all of that.
Absolutely.
So let's focus on Jim here. This is a, you know, certainly not a dummy. It's a smarty, if anything, because this is a high-tech mannequin, right?
Correct. High fidelity.
Tell me what all he does. I see him looking around already, and I see his eyes are blinking, and I see he's got one pupil a little larger than another.
Yes, so we can set the parameters of the eyes to show certain things for the nurses to recognize when they're doing the assessment. The yellow of his eyes indicates to us a process that he is currently having. He has heart sounds and lung sounds. So he breathes. If you look closely, you can see the rise and fall of his chest.
You can check his pulse.
Yep, he has pulses here. Do you want to feel his pulse?
Ow, that hurts. he also talks. Thank you, Jim. I did not hurt you, sir. I'm sorry. But that's, again, how would a nurse react? And look, it's not all puppy dogs and rainbows. This is hospice we're talking about. Sometimes your patient might say, I'm scared, or am I dying, or why am I dying? You put a nurse through those challenges as well, right?
Yes. What we do in the simulation lab, this is a training. My team has hospice experts. We write all the scenarios for this lab. So our colleagues have the opportunity to practice real-life situations that they're going to encounter during hospice care. Those are soft skills, listening to identify what matters most for that patient, difficult conversations, how to manage symptoms, and we do all of those things in the lab.
Wow.
And set the mannequin to help us do that.
Anita, thank you. It's fascinating. Laura Moody, when we come back, I'm going to take you a little behind the scenes. We'll take you inside the control room that is monitoring all of this and show you how they use it. And the ultimate goal is to inspire, if you're in nursing school right now and you're thinking about a specialty, they hope you'll consider hospice care. It's so important.
I can tell you that's a special group of people. That is a special group of people.
It is a special specialty, if you'll pardon the redundancy.
That's all right. Charley, thank you. We'll talk to you here in a little while.
Hi, Russell. I'm in Bradenton, Tidewell Hospice Simulation Lab for new hospice nurses. We showed you Jim, the very high-tech mannequin helping train nurses. Well, when we come back, I'm going to truly take you behind the scenes in the control room where they literally control Jim. And there's Jason laying over on the other table over there. I want you to see Jason and Anita and everybody else in here making this happen and turn out some new hospice nurses when Good Day Tampa Bay continues. Good day, Tampa Bay, and happy Wednesday. I'm Charley Belcher in Bradenton this morning. Tidewell Hospice Simulation Lab. It is a place where they are training new hospice nurses in a quite high-tech environment. We're taking you behind the scenes, inside the control room. Anita Smith is the Director of Clinical Education for Empath Health. Empath Health works with many different hospice agencies throughout the state of Florida. That's Bridget, by the way. Bridget is... in The Wizard of Oz, she'd be the wizard. She's the one behind the curtain, pulling the strings of the simulation that we saw in the last segment. Very tech, and this is programmable for almost any kind of scenario, Anita?
Yes. So what happens is my team creates the scenarios. We use the iPad. We can pre-program the scenarios in the iPad, or we can use the custom settings already. The iPad allows us to change parameters. We can change, here's our yellow eye color.
Oh yeah, you gave him a little jaundice eye.
Yeah.
You could change that.
We can change.
You make one pupil larger than the other. Oh, you can make it bloodshot.
Yeah.
Oh, isn't that interesting?
Yeah, we can normal. We can change heart sounds and lung sounds. And then...
Yeah, see, here's that EKG and stuff. You can change that or put them into...
And we typically don't use an EKG in hospice because our patients aren't on an EKG.
Right.
We can make him talk. We had some speech this morning.
Or cough.
Cough.
Oh, wow. And then you were saying one of the most important components is actually the video cameras that are in the lab.
Yes, so this other screen that you're looking at, it allows us to see the learners that are actually in the lab. So the educator that is running the simulation, we can zoom in to see something a little closer if we can't see it. We can rotate the cameras so we can see a different view of the lab. And we can also record the simulation that is occurring in the lab. So after the simulated event, we can do a discussion or debriefing to really look at what went well in that simulation and also to see what we can do better next time to help with professional growth of our nurses and other clinicians.
And it's recording the audio and the video, so and you want the nurse in there to communicate with the patient. Let me hear the conversation. Let me hear what you're saying. And you could even, if Bridget wanted to, she could actually talk live through the mannequin and say, you know, some deep thought like, why am I dying? Or some stuff like that. And you do that to some of the students.
Yes, we practice all of those soft skills and ask those really difficult questions so they can practice how to answer some of those things here in this lab before they see our patients.
Now, talk about how high-tech. This is Jason, another mannequin, a Rays fan. Go Rays, raise up. We are going to raise up his shirt because we're going to truly... scalpel, Nita? Scalpel, thank you very much. We are going to see just how high-tech, look at that. I mean, there's a lot going on in there.
There is a lot going on in there. The mannequin is actually the computer. So as you can see in here, this is all the hardware that runs the mannequin. And here's his lungs. You can see the air fill and deflate and make the chest rise. Excellent.
Thank you so much for truly showing us behind the scenes. That's about as behind the scenes, Russell and Laura, as you're ever going to get in a simulation lab like this. When we come back, we're going to talk to a student going through this training who will talk to her about why she chose hospice as a specialty and what she's gotten out of this very high-tech simulation lab.
Wow.
We talk about the bad things that AI can do. Now we can see the good things. Pretty impressive.
Yeah, and it's not artificial intelligence. That's where she comes in. Bridget's controlling everything.
Yeah.
So it's real. It's not artificial, but they did say yet.
Yeah, there's that. All right. Hey, see you later.
Yep. Good day to you, Laura. I hope you've all been appreciating what we've had for you this morning. Tidewell Hospice Nurse Simulation Lab It's a training facility here in Bradenton where Tidewell is training new hospice nurses, and high-tech simulation lab is interesting and that behind the scenes, but really just the mission of hospice nurses is so incredible. I'm glad we could take a morning and shine a light on it. In fact, we're going to be talking about the Tidewell Hospice Nurse Residency Program. A recent nurse graduate who is going through this very program right now. We're going to talk to her about why she decided hospice was for her and what she's thinking of this experience of this whole high-tech simulation lab. We'll talk with Caitlin when Good Day Tampa Bay continues.
And Charley Belcher is at Tidewell Hospice Nurse Residency Center, and we're going to talk to him when we come back.
Good day, Tampa Bay, and happy Wednesday to you. I'm Charley Belcher in Bradenton this morning. Tidewell Hospice, it's their training facility. It is part classroom space, part simulation lab, and we were showing you earlier this morning a really high-tech simulation lab, one of a kind, where they've taken a very high-tech mannequin designed to teach other forms of nursing, and they have manipulated it so it really focuses on hospice nursing, which is a very different specialty than other nursing specialties. I want you to meet Caitlin, who is a recent nurse graduate who is going through the residency program at Tidewell Hospice.
Yes.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
To nursing school.
Thank you.
Did you, now, all right, so it's funny with nursing specialties. You know, there are so many, and usually the ones people choose, when they think of the others, they go, oh, there's no way I could do that. Like,
Yes.
I could work with cancer kids, but I couldn't be in the ER, or I could be in the ER, but I certainly couldn't do hospice. And I think you hear a lot of, ooh, hospice is definitely special. Did you always know you wanted to be a hospice nurse?
Absolutely. My first death experience was with my great-grandmother when I was around 13 years old, and hospice took care of her.
I just happen to have a photo you provided me right
my
here.
great-grandma.
This is your great-grandma. Claire, okay right there? Can you see it okay? This is your great-grandma right here, and this is you right here. So tell me about that experience. That obviously had a huge impact on your life.
Yeah, so she received hospice in her home, and she had hospice nurses coming in and taking care of her. But the biggest impact to me was not just taking care of her, but they were taking care of us as a family. And that was a huge impact on me, and that really inspired me to want to be a hospice nurse.
Wow. So this simulation lab behind us and Jim back there, you've actually run through these scenarios yourself. You've been through nursing school.
Yeah.
How does this compare?
Well, you don't get a very big piece of hospice in nursing school. It's not a week long or anything. It's a very short segment. Here, I get to go through realistic scenarios of what hospice care is really like for a nurse. We run through scenarios. I can make a mistake and redo it and really prepare myself for the difficult conversations that I need to have.
And being in a setting like this, it does feel real with a patient who is breathing and can cough and even talk to you.
Yes.
At first, I'm sure it feels a little awkward or maybe even silly, but I'm sure as you get into it, you really do start to feel like you're in a real environment here.
Yeah, absolutely I do. And I've come across the scenarios that we've practiced here in my nurse residency program out in the hospice houses as well.
Oh, wow. So you're now at a part of your training where you're doing literally in the field work. You're in practice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And this has prepared me for that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Good for you. If anybody's watching and they're in nursing school right now, or they're thinking about a career change, or they're thinking about this, why would you encourage them to consider hospice nursing?
You know, you provide care and dignity for somebody at the end of their life. Death is a part of life, and it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah. Good for you, Caitlin. Good for you.
Yeah.
Thank you for your service. Thank you for what you do.
Absolutely.
It's amazing what you hospice nurses do, and very grateful. Thank you. Thank you so much. There you go, empathhealth.org. If we've inspired you to consider a career change, or if you're thinking about going into nursing, you might consider hospice nursing, empathcare.org. And that is, Empath is the bigger company that works with many different hospice groups throughout the state of Florida, Tidewell Hospice being one of them.
You know, she said something in your interview, your guest did, that struck me because, and I mentioned it earlier, I've gone through hospice with my parents, and she talked about how not only is she treating that patient, she's treating that family. And they do come into the house, and they're helping you as well be aware of the situation, what you need to prepare for, and what comes next. It's important.
Beautiful. It's important. My grandmother went through hospice. I was so impressed, and you're right, Russell. So hopefully maybe today we inspired some others to think about that. They're having a nursing shortage with hospice nurses, just like all the other nurses. So maybe we did a little good today by shining a light on these folks.
I'm sure you did, and I'm glad you showed this today. It's important. Thank you, man.